Now, if you believe them old Western movies, cowboys eat steaks this big every night and drink whiskey by the thousands of gallons. Well, that's not entirely the case. So we're going over the myths, the facts, and we might even throw in some Rocky Mountain oysters. We're talking about what was really on the plate in the Old West. You know, in them old Western movies, it looked like every cowboy went into a gigantuous steakhouse. Because when you seen the plate come out there, it's like they cut a whole hindquarter off and just laid it hanging off the plate. But in reality, there was a lot of beef in the Old West, but it wasn't as if John Wayne made you think it was hanging off the plate everywhere. Beef back in the Old West would have used much cheaper cuts of steak, like chuck steak. More prevalent dishes would have been beef stew or even hash, where you could make a meal stretch further. Boiled beef was another popular method of cooking, but a ribeye wasn't the standard cut, and fancy steakhouse culture came later. Now here's something that might surprise you. Now out west, there was a delicacy that was served, and what was it? Oysters. When most people think of oysters, they picture coastal cities like New York, New Orleans, San Francisco, but not Dodge City. But in the mid-1800s, oysters were one of the most popular foods in America. They were cheap, abundant, and harvested by the millions along the East Coast. In fact, New York Harbor alone produced millions of oysters every year. They were packed in ice or brine and shipped inland. And once the railroads expanded westward in the 1870s and 1880s, everything changed. Rail cars packed with ice carried fresh oysters hundreds of miles from the ocean to landlocked towns. They can survive several days out of the water if kept cool. They were shipped in barrels, layered with ice and seaweed to keep them fresh. Mining towns and cattle towns began serving oyster stew regularly. In fact, if you had a little money in your pocket, you could sit down in a place like Denver or even a small frontier towns and order yourself a bowl. And after the Civil War, canned oysters became popular too. Those cans showed up in frontier general stores, making oysters available even in remote settlements. But in cattle country, there was another kind of oyster. Rocky Mountain oysters. Y'all stick with me because you sure are going to learn something today, and we're not going to get graphic about it. So if you want to fast forward through this a little bit, you can. But we're talking about something that I grew up on all my life, and that is calf fries, mountain oysters, Rocky Mountain oysters, all are the same thing. Now, I will tell you this right off the top of the bat. You know, when you talk about oysters, sometimes you find a pearl in them. You ain't gonna find no pearl in these, but what you are gonna find is some really good eating. And just grip it tight, take your knife, just score the outside edge, pull that first membrane of skin plumb off of it. It'll just pull down. Then you slice plumb to the bottom side. Then you have two halves. All you gotta do is just peel them out of there, lay them on a cutting board. Now, I like to cut mine in really small enough pieces that I know they're gonna fry up really well, because I have been in them branding pens where them old men would just take one that's this big around, cut it in half, throwing it over on top of some hot coals, let it cook for a minute. Hey, it's good to eat. I never did like them that way, but I did eat them. So this is really something that if you take your time, you do it right, you're gonna be so impressed, and you're gonna order them every time you go to a restaurant that has them. Always seen them, never do this in a bowl. My mother would just take some flour, put in a paper sack, and we're gonna have about 2 of them. Same amount of cornmeal. We're just gonna guess. I'm gonna guess just a little more. A little bit of our original seasoning. Now, what do you put in fried chicken when you're gonna make it really good? Some ground mustard, you do. So we're gonna add us a little bit of that in there. And some garlic powder. Now them old man putting these on the branding fire or just stringing them on that wire, they didn't have none of this stuff. But Y'all ever watch Mayberry RFD? See no Andy Taylor there? And he said everything tastes better with a Ritz cracker. It sure does. And they make good breading too. You just crumble them up really good in here. They'll mash. You can see they sort of disintegrate pretty easy. But they help make a crunch. I usually just do it in a sack. Just roll them around in there till you can get them all mashed up. Used to use cracker crumbs. I have done that many times as well. Well, I know y'all seen that little girl on TV. She's in black and white when I was growing up. And she got to do that shake and bake deal. This shake and bake, I got to help. That's what we're talking about. Shake and bake. Let's get our... They don't make sacks near like they used to make them in 1960s, I promise you that. Or we wouldn't be losing some of our ingredients. So, one thing you want to make sure of, don't just grab a handful of them and throw them in there because they'll stick together. Just scatter them out in there amongst it. Then we'll give them a shake. Don't overcrowd the boat, none at all. It's shaking bacon, I got to help. Branding gatherings often turned into community events. Hard work followed by a shared meal. And that's where Rocky Mountain oysters became part of the tradition. Across Colorado, Texas, Wyoming, and New Mexico, they weren't a novelty or a dare. They were simply practical frontier cooking, making use of what was available and feeding the people who showed up to work. All set up we are. Peanut oil, about $3.55 the first batch because them things is cold. Paper towel over here in this little old tin. We got these on a wire rack. Again, we're not going to overcrowd the boat. Drop them in there. That is a wonderful sound. It is. I remember when we'd have a really big party after we'd been to a branding, or me and Daddy had went and worked 200 or 300 head for somebody, cut all them bulls. Them old timers would get out there with a 30-gallon cast iron wash pot, dump buckets of lard in it, just keep dumping them in there. Then they'd dump maybe 40 pounds of calf fries in there, scatter them out, fry them, dip them out. Next come fish, same thing, dip them out. People would gather up in backyards, bring potato salad, pies, cakes, homemade ice cream, best thing ever seen. But what really thrilled me the most was how them old men checked the oil temperature when it was time to fry in that big old black pot. They'd take one of them matches, wooden match, throw it in that grease. When it made a fire, it's time to fry. You want to fry these probably, I'd say 4 to 5 minutes. Keep rolling them around all the time. You just want them good, crispy, and golden brown. Folks, I have served these on an appetizer like at a wagon when I was cooking on ranches, have them done early when cowboys come in. And you go to telling yourself, where can I find them at? Well, a lot of times if you'll go to your local grocery store in your town and say, hey, can you order me a box of calf fries? Usually they can. But one thing I have done a lot of too is turkey fries. Try you some of these, you will really... You missed it, he had one in his mouth. Well, had some really good help here today, I did. Snows, I want to thank you so much. Whiskey, come on. You need a bite. Oh my gosh, Whiskers bites hard, he does. Dooker, come here and get your bite. Dooker, come on, this one's cooked. In the movies, cowboys started the day off with a shot of whiskey and ended it the same way. And it nearly seemed like they spent all day in the saloon drinking, gambling, and telling some lies. But in reality, many trail bosses banned alcohol altogether. A drunk cowboy around 1,000 head of cattle was a liability. One bad decision could trigger a stampede, and that meant lost cattle, lost money, and sometimes lost lives. And when cowboys did get to town, the whiskey often wasn't top shelf. It was cheap, sometimes even watered down. Now here's one we've seen and heard a lot about going down the trail. Beans. They were cheap, filling, and packed with protein. More importantly, they traveled well. Dried beans could sit in a chuck wagon for months without spoiling. All you needed was water and time and a little heat from a fire. They were dependable, and on the trail, dependable mattered more than fancy. But in Hollywood, seems like the bowl never went empty and there was an endless pot of beans always cooking. But folks, really that's not the way it was going down the trail with old Cookie. He had to ration out what all them cowboys were going to eat because he may not get to restock the wagon in time before they run out. So he made sure there was plenty at every meal, but it was limited conditions a lot of the time. But Hollywood is pretty close, so we'll give them this one. Now on our new podcast that's coming out this Sunday, we had the privilege of bringing Santee in from Arizona Ghost Riders, a great historian he is, and we did as a really deep dive from what was really fiction or fact from Hollywood to the Old West. So be sure and check that episode out. You know, out on the trail, desserts weren't plentiful. They weren't. They were pretty scarce. Now, old Cook might have had some dried fruit that he'd rehydrate, make a pie or a cobbler, but that was about it. But when them cowboys got to town, things got different. Out in the West and in southern kitchens, desserts weren't fancy or flashy, but one that you might see on the table quite a bit for dessert, buttermilk pie.
Did someone say buttermilk?
Oh my gosh, thank you for joining me.
I always travel with my buttermilk, you know me.
Yes, ma'am.
There is a restaurant here in Ruidoso, and we've featured them before, the Village Buttery. They have a buttermilk pie, and it is one of the most amazing things that I have ever eaten. So I tried to recreate it.
You have done it.
So when you all come to visit, because you will, you have to try them out. But I'm going to create a pie that I think is really close.
Oh, I think it's better from the one you made the other night.
Let's cross our fingers.
Boarding houses, hotel dining rooms, and small town cafes often serve pies. Apple pie, mince pie, dried fruit pie, and custard pies. They were practical desserts built from ingredients that could survive long distances and long storage. Fresh fruit wasn't always available in the frontier, so dried apples, raisins, and preserved fruit were common. Custard-style pies were popular because eggs, milk, and sugar were more dependable than seasonal produce. In Hollywood, there was almost always a perfect pie sitting at the saloon counter. Golden crust, steam rising, ready for the hero to grab a bite before the gunfight.
You don't mind helping me, do you?
No, ma'am, I'll sure watch anyway.
Well, I'm going to put you to work. So I have already creamed together some softened butter and sugar there for you. Can you go ahead and add 3 large eggs one at a time?
One at a time and whisk them in?
Please. And then I'm going to put together the dry, which is just half a cup of flour. Now, typically, buttermilk pies, like I mentioned, are a little more custardy. I like to err on the side where it's a little more cake-like, kind of like a chess pie, I guess. So that's what we're going to be doing today, and I think it's going to turn out good. A little salt, and then just a tad of baking powder. And then I'm going to also have you mix in about a teaspoon of vanilla.
All right.
And while you're doing that, I'm going to grate some lemon zest. Now, typical recipes I have noticed use lemon juice. And what I found happened is with the buttermilk and the lemon juice, the pie comes out pretty tart. So I wanted the lemon flavor, but I didn't want so much of the tartness to it. So that's why I'm using zest.
Huh.
Looks good. Okay, then I'm gonna give you this.
All right.
Can you
Mixer's on low.
Great team effort here.
Yes.
3/4 cup buttermilk. There you go. Go a soft whisk until you just get that incorporated. Do not like overbeat this. Just whisk that in until everything gets incorporated. Okay. I do recommend using a deep pie plate, and I have realized I love cooking pies in stoneware because the heat transfers better and they cook up better. Metal conducts heat more intensely, so just watch it if you're ever cooking a pie in metal.
And did you know that you could put this pie plate in a Dutch oven?
You can, and we will show you. And it's my Christmas pie plate. So, okay, folks, I'm cheating today. Don't judge me. I'm going to use a pre-made pie crust. We've done videos before on homemade pie dough, so feel free. If you want extra bonus points, go for it and make your own. But let's just lay this in here and just pat it around. All right, Kent, can you gingerly pour that in there, please?
Gingerly.
Okay. You can see why we use a deep pie crust or a pie plate, because this is going to fill it up. So you're going to freeze this for about 15 to 20 minutes, then cook it at 400 degrees for 15 minutes. Then turn your oven down to 350 degrees and cook it for about 40 to 50 minutes.
Get through this episode without a great tribute to Cowboy Coffee. Now here's one thing that Hollywood actually gets pretty close. Coffee. If there was one luxury on the trail, it wasn't steak, it was coffee. There were no filters, no presses, no creamers, just coarse ground coffee, water, and a pot over an open flame. Coffee helped cowboys wake before the sunrise, ride long miles, and stay alert around livestock that could spook at anything. It was the first thing on in the morning and the last thing off at night. It wasn't refined, it wasn't smooth, but it was strong, and that's what mattered. Now coffee today is much different. Now we have made a lot of cowboy coffee videos, and you be sure you go back and check them out, because that is how a lot of people said they actually found us the first time, was cowboy coffee. But I got a few tips and tricks I want to share with you to make it even easier to make this great coffee. Number one question I get the most: how do you wash your coffee pot? Wash the coffee pot? No, never with soap and water. I treat the inside of a coffee pot like it's cast iron. It don't get seasoned with oil, but every time I get through using it, rinse it out really good with hot water, make sure it's clean, dry it over a flame, open fire, burner, something like that, to where you get all that moisture to get gone out of it. Another question is, well, I've got one of them big old pots, but I can't drink that much coffee in a week. Did you know that you can store this coffee in a mason jar, in a plastic jar, or whatever you got? Just make sure you let it cool off before you ever put it in there. And if you want to, a lot of people ask this: can I go ahead and sift it when I pour it in there? You can, but if you make coffee the right way, ain't gonna be no grounds till you get plumb to the very last cup down there. So it's really easy to make. It's something that's so smooth that isn't like that stuff that would float a horseshoe back during the trail. And folks ask me this: can you really put it in a sock? Please don't, because I don't know who wore the sock before the coffee went in it. Well, I got some bad news for you. Company showed up before y'all got here. They ate all the calf fries. They did. And they nearly ate all the pie. I had to guard this much just to make sure that I got a bite. And I had to make me a fresh pot of coffee because they drink all it too. Am I down on the neighbors? No, I'd feed them again if they come on anytime. But Shan has created a masterpiece here. I mean, when you let this stuff sit overnight, chill up just a little, it don't get no better than that. You cook it in the house or in a Dutch oven, whichever one you please.
How do you feel about my tweaks?
You did so well. The lemon comes through just right now. It's not the tartness of the lemon. You get that lemon zest and you increase the sugar a little bit. What I like most, I think, is you got this where it stands up like a real custard pie there, you do.
No, it's not custard. It's like...
I'll back up. And the thing that impresses me most, you got some volume in here now, girl. And I mean, it has got the right texture when you cut it. And the homemade pie crust was out of this world. Swing your partner around to right, give her no chance and go left. Here we go, gonna spend the night. Whoop, whoop. Well, we hope y'all enjoyed and we hope you learned something from fact versus fiction out there in the Hollywood movies. But be sure you check out our podcast that's coming out this Sunday and mark it on your calendars because Santee from the Arizona Ghost Riders goes deep diving in there to find out what was myth or the truth. All happened in Hollywood and he knows what it was. But also for you folks that are going to be in the Kidron, Ohio area, I am coming back to Lehman's, the best hardware store in all the world. And most years we've been up there, 300, 400 people have come to see us. So we ask you to make it a point to come and visit because I'd sure like to shake your hand. But it is with pride, honor, and privilege that I tip my hat to all the servicemen and women and all the veterans that have kept that old flag a flying in camp. No matter where we are, we commend you all we do. Rest of you, get up in here. I'm not going to give you one of them fictitious hugs from Hollywood. I'm going to give you one of them great old big cowboy hugs. God bless you each and every one, and we'll see you down. How was the Old West really like true?